You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No. Anyway, Blue Apron...
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
America stands at the ready to build faster, achieve more. The future won't wait. And TC Energy is moving forward confidently, connecting communities, industries, nations, here and abroad. At TC Energy, we deliver the North American natural gas and energy that powers communities across the U.S. to aim higher, grow stronger, and go further. TC Energy. Energy connected. Find out more at tcenergy.com.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence. By supporting families with stable housing. And providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at RealSafetyDC.
I was about to say, meaning the inferior Space Mountain, but I would have gotten canceled. So.
Welcome back to Monster Donut, a literary and historical deep dive into the Percy Jackson series and all of its following spin-offs. I'm Emily, a classic scholar-ish.
And I'm Phoebe, a dramaturg and story consultant. And today we are starting season 2 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Okay, right off the bat, I think we should do a little bit of housekeeping, just in case there's anyone new here, anyone who hasn't listened to our season 1 coverage, or anything like that. We are a full spoilers podcast.
Yes. We have read through every Percy Jackson book within the Greek and Roman timeline. We haven't gotten to Kane Chronicles or Magnus Chase yet, but all of the main 3 series plus all of the spin-offs, all of the short stories, all of that is fair game.
Yes. So if you don't want to risk any spoilers, especially spoilers like how this season is probably going to go based on the book, for example, or how the whole series might end, I would recommend clicking off and coming back to us once you've read through everything. If you don't care about spoilers, though...
Hello, welcome. Other bit of housekeeping to address the elephant in the room. If you came here from Instagram, Twitter, social media, we had the privilege of visiting the set of season 2 of Percy Jackson back in January.
Yeah.
We were there while they were filming parts of episode 1, and we haven't been I can't even talk about it. I'm
it was low-key one of the best experiences of my life. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible.
First of all, everyone that works on the show is so lovely and welcoming and passionate about what they do. It was truly a privilege to get to learn a bit more about what some people do, to watch them in their element. It was amazing.
Getting to even peek in on the creative process was a dream come true.
Yeah.
So we were there for 2 days. We will share stories from our time there over the course of this season, probably. And if you didn't come here from social media... and had no idea this happened. Surprise.
Surprise.
So we'll be talking about that as we go. But also, it probably wouldn't have been possible without all of the people listening to this podcast. Yeah. So thank you to everyone who's been with us all this time.
Thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for talking about the show with us.
Yeah, so these episodes will come out as the show airs. This one is coming out, obviously, with the drop of episode 1 and 2. Episode 2 will probably come out a couple days from now. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. It's currently November 22nd. So literally who knows?
We've also been invited to participate in the press junket leading up to Season 2's release again this year, which is really exciting. So you're probably going to hear some clips from interviews of stuff as it comes up throughout the episodes. We're going to be able to ask questions about episodes 1 through 4.
Yeah, so if you hear the voice of editing Phoebe or Emily later in this episode, it's because something came up in those interviews that we are now editing in.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think
that covers everything. So let's start. Episode 1 of Season 2. Our opening shot is of lightning striking the ocean. Foreshadowing. Which zooms out, and we see a single boat with torn sails on the shore, presumably Grover's boat, as he walks into frame on his way from the beach into the jungle. And Grover's theme is playing in the soundtrack. I
thought, maybe just because of what we heard Sarah Watson talking about at Comic-Con, but the whole time I was just like, it's giving Indiana Jones.
It is giving, this entire scene, the whole concept of, like, I followed you on your quest to go find something, and now I'm going to try and take it from you. It's very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm. I think the way he, moves with, confidence, too. Grover seems very self-assured in these opening moments.
Yeah. Which I was surprised that he looked so okay, considering his boat looks like that.
Yeah.
He's clearly been through something. He's been on this quest for about a year now.
We saw we've at least gone to Reykjavik, which is quite far.
Yeah, I wondered if that was where he got the boat from, because he's in a, marina in the photo that he sent to Percy.
Yeah. I mean, sailing from Reykjavik to, presumably somewhere off the coast of Florida, somewhere in Florida, is kind of wild, though. That's a long journey.
All on your own. So what we see here is an entirely new scene for the show. It's similar in some ways to the opening moments of The Sea of Monsters, considering it's a vision of Grover on his quest in the middle of a storm, being chased down by something. Mm-hmm. But overall, quite different. We follow Grover into the forest, into the jungle, where he prays to Pan, and we get the first line of the season, which is, "Pan, Lord of the Wild, if you are near, give me a sign." I had a couple thoughts about this one. Starting the season off with a plea to the gods. It feels like we're setting up this season as one where we might be searching for signs, searching for the gods, now that we've established that the gods exist and that we've actually met a lot of them. Where are they now? It parallels, I feel, the scene with Annabeth and Thalia at the end of the episode, when she's also looking for a sign. But we'll get to that. And I think this moment, it highlights something that is fairly unique to the Sea of Monsters, which is that we spend a good majority of the book at the mercy of the wild, of nature in caves, in the sea, in the forests. We spend so little time in civilization in this book. And also the whole thing centers around a dying tree that's being killed for the sake of forward progress, in the name of forward progress. And that, we now have to search for this source of intense nature magic to heal it. It's sort of like a miniature Pan quest in a way. The quest of the book feels parallel to the quest for Pan. Mm-hmm. So to start the whole season off praying to Pan just feels fitting to me.
Yeah.
So immediately after we pray to Pan, there is a crack of thunder.
The wind picks
up. And as Grover walks forward, he finds a stack of rocks and the skeleton of a satyr.
I freaked out at the stack of rocks. This was my first big reaction to this season, was like, oh my god, Grover! And then immediately, I think I texted Phoebe, in all caps, is that a Herm? Mm-hmm. We've talked a bit about Herms on the podcast, but I'll give a quick refresher here. So basically, in the ancient Greek world, there are these things called Herms, where essentially, in their most basic form, they're just piles of rocks, like what we see in the show. But over time, and in cities and stuff, they tend to get more ornate. So they're actual statues of Hermes. And they're basically intended to ward off evil. And specifically the ones of piles of rocks in particular are associated with warding off evil along a route you are traveling. which is why they're strongly associated with Hermes, basically a way to protect travelers and mark out paths. And so it's really interesting to me that we've got one here kind of in the middle of the jungle, like marking Grover's way on his quest.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're also so strongly associated with Hermes is really interesting to me on account of, the look of it all. But I also just I love that he gets sent this sign. He gets pointed to this symbol for guiding travelers in Greek mythology. And then he keeps going and immediately sees this skeleton of a satyr, like one of his predecessors. So it's this immediate negation and unsettling omen of what this all means. And it's kind of complicating almost what at first seems to be a very positive moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then much, much later in the episode, something else I thought was interesting was when he's talking about it, and he says this is all part of Polyphemus' system. So to me, that implies this dead satyr is laid out like this intentionally by this Herm in a way that, again, I think also adds this complication of what you think is safety and a good sign is actually not, which is also interesting considering what happens in this scene.
Mm-hmm. And I think also in our relationship with Hermes in these books, that he doesn't 100% mean protection when he shows up.
Yeah.
So we also get the panpipes.
And considering how much we talked about their relationship with loss when we first saw them in the teaser trailer, I was surprised by how little Grover seems fazed by the skeleton.
I thought when he was reaching for the pipes and then hesitated, I was like, because it's wrong to steal from a dead guy. And then he just started cleaning them, and I was like, right, okay.
Which again feels very Indiana Jones to me, of just we want the idol, we don't really care about the history bit.
Well, it just made me wonder what Grover's seen on his quest so far. He's been at this for a long time. He's probably traveled to a lot of places where other satyrs have failed. And to go from the way he looked at Uncle Ferdinand in season 1 to the way he looks at this satyr, or just to finding Augustus in last season also, to getting here. It feels like his perspective on the danger that comes with this quest has shifted. Probably thanks in part to what he experienced in season 1, but also probably thanks to the quest he's been on all these months.
And then we get a shot of our best friend.
Our new bestie, an eye in the trees. The framing of this shot was very interesting to me. This as her introduction. Because if I didn't know about Allison, if I hadn't been keeping track of the news, I probably would have assumed this was a tree nymph. To me, it was framed almost like that trope of either someone in the woods being spied on by something magical in the forest, or the opposite way around, where someone spying on a magical being in the forest, which is kind of what she's doing. But because we were surrounded by all of this nature and we're praying to Pan for guidance, and then this girl starts peering out of the trees, and the music doesn't shift any darker to signify that maybe there's something wrong with the fact that there's this girl in the trees. There was just this association in my mind immediately of with her and nature. It just felt like she was a part of what Pan was potentially offering to Grover.
So Grover picks up the pipes and immediately tests them by blowing into them a little bit. And all of the vines start curling.
Yeah.
Which I thought was also interesting, because I was like, how much does he know how to use these already? What's the lore on the pipes?
Yeah.
Because it seems to respond to Grover very powerfully. And the magic to me almost looks like it responds in a way that's to protect. By kind of wrapping around all of these people that he doesn't even know are there.
Right. I wonder how much the pipes are connected to Grover's intentions and how much they sort of act of their own free will. Maybe they're a little bit like Riptide, how it sort of knows when, last season it was ready to go whenever Percy was in danger.
I like that.
But yeah, so Grover turns, sees Allison, says Allie, which... We've been hearing Allison, Allison this whole time. And so to hear him see her and genuinely get excited to see her and go, Allie, I was like, oh, there's real familiarity here.
Yeah. It also means that he doesn't, even when he sees them all come out of the woodwork fully armed, he's not literally out of the woodwork, fully armed. He doesn't think he's in danger. Mm-hmm. He's like, those are my friends. I was thinking too that like, he calls her a camper and he's like, campers aren't allowed to search for Pan, which also leads me to believe that like when Grover left camp, she was at camp. Mm. Which also means that if Luke's recruiting, he's probably is recruiting a lot, like confirmed, like in the last year, like people are leaving.
Yeah, that's true. So Allison comes forward. She tells Grover she just wants to see what he found and plucks a thread of the golden fleece from Grover's new pipes. And when she asks where's the rest of it, Grover doesn't know what she's talking about, and she realizes it's a dead end. So this is some of our first Allison characterization, is that she was close enough with Grover that he calls her Allie, and she will just turn around and attempt to kill him.
I love her.
Yeah, she's great. First reaction, I really enjoy this adaptation of Alabaster Torrington. So Grover uses the pipes again to escape, runs off to the beach again, where he sees their boat, and actually starts running toward their boat, which I thought was smart of him, and also kind of funny of him to try and leave them stranded with his broken boat.
Yeah.
But then the tentacle appears and grabs Grover and drags him off into the sea.
Poor Arian getting dragged through sand.
I know. I'm trying to think of how we can drag him through sand in season 3 and 4 and 5 now.
Maybe through snow with the boar.
Through snow in season 3. Through, there's got to be a sandy tunnel in the labyrinth somewhere.
Yeah.
That we can drag him through.
Easy. That can be
It can be arranged.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's at this point that we cut from Grover to Percy, falling out of bed post-nightmare, having just dreamt of the scene that we just saw. I loved the detail of his sheets wrapping around his leg, the way that the tentacle was wrapped around Grover's leg. Like, it's not literally a part of the empathy link, but it's like that extra little, like, hint at, like, I feel what you feel, what's happening to Grover, Percy is physically experiencing in some way.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, mirroring physicality I noticed in this episode, too. Like, there's a moment later with Percy and Tyson where they, like, both do the exact same thing when they put on their backpacks. Mm.
So Percy gets up, goes to his mirror, his opening monologue begins. I'm just going to read the first part of what he says while he's still in his room, and then I'll read the rest of it as it comes up, because it's actually a pretty long monologue. This first part is, you guys get nightmares, right? Probably not like mine. See, demigods get ones that tell the future, or try to kill us. Usually, I'd talk this over with my best friends, which was rude. I thought we were best friends, but okay. But cell phones attract monsters, so gotta wait for camp and hope they're okay. The good news is I don't have to wait for long. It almost felt like he was talking to a different audience than the first season, because he's assuming that I don't get nightmares. I don't get nightmares like that. It felt like he was assuming that I'm not a demigod, and so let me explain what demigod life is like. Like, I thought I was getting recruited last time I heard. Why are you talking to me like this? Like I'm not your best friend.
Maybe he's gotten the feedback that he needs to broaden his base a little bit.
Right. He needs a wider audience if he wants to get the readers that he wants. No, I just thought this was an interesting framing, because last time we got the warning. Mm-hmm. The assumption that, like, what we see might put us in danger, the assumption that we might be a part of this world. And here it seems like he's sort of like, you're probably not.
I feel like it's hard to analyze without knowing, like, if it's going to come back at the end of the
season. I know, I'm kind of holding on to this until the end of the season, but it's just a slightly different way into the book than we have from season 1. So we start off this scene. I need to shout out the set decorators on this scene.
Yes. There's
so much detail and personality in Percy's room. And, like, we already went over some of this when the trailer came out, but, like, there are some new details that I noticed this time. I think my favorites are I still really like the open sketchbook on his desk and the crafts that it seems like came from camp on his shelf. I think those two might still be my favorites. But some new details. Skateboarder Percy is officially canon to the show.
I also wrote that down.
He has a skateboard that looks like it might be missing its wheels next to a lone bike wheel. So something's gone wrong. He's been in several accidents, it seems. I really liked this detail because that's actually how Sea of Monsters starts, is with Sally telling Percy and Tyson that she'll take them to the skateboard shop after school. So I was happy to see that detail from the books. Not from the books. He has an amp on the floor, a little amp. No clue what that's connected to. I tried to find like an instrument, a microphone, something. I couldn't find one, but like musician Percy? Maybe? Stand-up comedian Percy?
We were talking about like how he seems like he's kind of into rock.
Yeah.
A bit.
Like he's got band posters around the room. We've got the music playing that like feels like maybe it's something off of Percy's playlist. I enjoy how creative Percy is in this show. Like with the sketchbooks and the Polaroids all over his mirror and the amp by his bed. The class that Tyson interrupts later on is a creative writing class, it seems. It's at least an English classroom with creative writing posters on the walls. So, like, he's an artist. It's no wonder he's a best-selling author. I don't know. I love how we get these little hints of all of Percy's many hobbies in the books. And so I'm enjoying collecting all of them through all the details in the show.
We also know for sure now he's the kind of person to take a dirty dish and just push it under his bed. Yeah.
But to wake up and think, I gotta clean in here.
By pushing a dirty dish under the bed.
Yes. The many layers of Percy Jackson.
Tone-wise, though, this whole opening sequence is really interesting to me, just because, like, I wrote down it, like, feels almost like the start to a rom-com.
It feels very teen movie.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, Who Will I Be, Camp Rock, and all of her many hobbies.
And the opening just being like, I lie a lot.
Yeah, the opening song just being like, and I will lie throughout this entire movie.
So Percy leaves his room and trips over a little gadget that when he picks it up, it kind of zooms in and you see it's like this thing that seems to be made out of a lot of like household items. So it's like a cover for your dish drain. It's a spoon. There's like some gears, but I saw like handles also in like a later shot. And this is our sort of first introduction to Tyson, which actually reminds me almost like of a gyroscope. It also had me thinking about like the Archimedes spheres that we get introduced in like Heroes of Olympus. But like a gyroscope is, the important detail about it is that it's something where no matter which way you turn it around, it'll always be right side up, like the way it's rigged. So it never can like get dumped upside down. And it's a piece of navigational equipment often seen in like planes and ships. Which is also interesting to me, because I think, like, every moment Tyson is on screen, basically, he is forcing us to question a lot of what our preconceived notions of what monsters are, of how the world is. So I think him, like, this first thing we see him designing being something that is, like, meant to teach you orientation, no matter how much you mess around with it. Interesting. And let's talk about us actually seeing Tyson for the first time.
Yeah, so Percy brings this doohickey to Tyson and says, hey, Tyson, this yours? His first line is, oh, thanks, Percy. And
it's very off-screen in a way that's a little disorienting.
Yeah, I was like, how are we gonna, because at this point I'm still like, oh, well, Percy doesn't know that Tyson's a Cyclops. I was like, Tyson won't be shown his face won't be shown for the entire first 15 minutes of this episode, I guess. And then when Sally asks Tyson, what is that he made? The camera turns around. We see Tyson and his one eye. And he says, it's a compass, so I don't get lost. Lost is a word I'm going to flag for later. Okay, jump scare. It's Phoebe from the future, butting in here because this conversation is actually related to a question that we asked Daniel at the press junket in LA. We ended up talking to Walker, Leah, Daniel, Arian, Charlie, Dior, the showrunners, and Rick Riordan. So a couple of those conversations will be placed throughout this episode and through future episodes. So here's a clip from that conversation with Daniel. So some of Tyson's first lines this season are, hang on, I've got them written down here, that it's a compass so I don't get lost.
Yeah.
And he continues to make compasses throughout the first couple episodes, which to me tells me that he might have a fear of getting lost.
Interesting.
Any thoughts on that?
It's interesting because I love that you picked up on that. I think it was something that we in our prep period when we were talking with our acting coach, or something we discussed a lot, is like, hey, when you're monster, don't have your parents around, you're born basically on the streets from infant age, it's knowing where you're at and where you need to go is extremely important. And so I think home, in a sense of that, is the biggest thing for him. And so as he kind of goes, knowing where to go and who he wants to go there with is a huge part of his growth, and finding home and kind of having that kind of center to rely on. And so it's very much like a physical manifestation of this internal metaphor that he's kind of processing throughout the whole season. And very cool. But yes, exactly.
I was also, because I'm insane, trying to figure out what it was pointing to, because it kept stopping. And it kept pointing in different directions in a way that had me thinking, like, is this like the compass that doesn't point north in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise?
Yes.
And if so, what does it point to?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. Because it kept pointing in different directions.
Mm. And it's here that we get the second part of Percy's narration. He says, "Oh yeah, this is Tyson. He's a Cyclops. He lives with us now. Mom met Tyson while volunteering at a homeless shelter. Then she got him enrolled at my school, where I was his only friend." And here we get a montage of Percy and Tyson at school, where, like Percy said, he is Tyson's only friend because Tyson is a Mets fan. So no one will talk to him except for Percy, because Percy is also a Mets fan, as I've been saying for many years. Anyway.
So yeah, we get two shots in this montage. One of Tyson just kind of tripping over himself.
So this was such, like, I did this. I was Tyson once. I saw my little sister at school in middle school, yelled for her, and then tripped in front of everyone as, like, classes were changing. Like, their bell had just rung, so everyone was in the hallway. He's so me.
Was Sophia embarrassed?
Sophia was probably embarrassed to have her sister chase her down in the hallway and then do that. And she's a Mets fan, and the Mets fan appears. That's probably what she was thinking.
But to me, I'm like, sure, I guess it's embarrassing, but it's not like it's Tyson's, like, that's not anyone's fault.
No, but I assume, you have this kid who no one seems to like, and you're the one that they've attached themselves to.
Yeah. And then we get the second scene, which is a bit more Tyson's fault, I would say.
Yeah.
Where they're doing like some kind of projection, and you were looking at the posters. I was looking at what was on the board.
Right, they're learning about demigods.
Yes! Because I saw the word demigod, I was like, that can't be right. But I zoomed in, and yeah, they're like it looks like a family tree or a lecture on demigods. There's symbols. I saw a lyre. I saw some other like godly symbols in there, and it looked like they were all kind of connected by lines. So I was like, oh, is this like sort of talking about how demigods are all related, or gods, which feels on theme for the show?
Yeah.
But then it's kind of interesting to me that Tyson like kind of comes in during this discussion of, like, what are demigods, basically, and he's immediately flicking on the light and like, hey, Percy!
Illuminating the other part of the family tree.
Yes, and then also, as soon as he's like, oh, sorry, let me exit, he just breaks it. He breaks it all.
Yeah.
And immediately shuts it off. Which...
we can make metaphors out of.
Yes, I think it's foreshadowing for how Tyson will probably continue to challenge all of this throughout his time here, but like also it's symbolism in and of it, like, because he's already doing it, like we're already getting that immediately. I also was like paying a lot of attention to how Percy feels about Tyson as he's talking about this, because you get a couple moments where you're getting like the loyalty, you're getting the like, he is someone I'm supposed to look out for, I care about him, but like there's a reluctance.
Yeah, like the look on his face when Tyson falls, the way he turns around, he looks so just done with this, but then turns around to help him.
Yeah, it's so giving I'm a big brother and I'm over it.
It's interesting to start Percy off knowing that Tyson's a Cyclops.
Yeah. I also wrote down, it's interesting that, at least as far as I can tell, unless we've got Mist in a can again, we're never going to see Tyson with two eyes.
Yeah.
Which I also really like as a choice for what I think the show is saying with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you're never going to see him as a, like, quote-unquote human.
Yeah.
Like, we're never even going to let you think that. We're going to force you to stare at the fact that he is a monster the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also brings out something that is not necessarily dwelled on in the books too much, which is the fact that Sally would have known the whole time.
Yeah. That extra layer of, like, it's almost like she took him in because he's a monster. And, like, because just based on what we saw in season 1, like, she just doesn't see the world like that.
I wonder how much she knows about Poseidon's involvement, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a moment in Virginia Cole's performance where she's looking at Tyson where I had the feeling like she knows.
Mm.
Like, she knows this is Percy's half-brother.
Yeah.
And it feels almost like she's kind of, I don't know. It's, like, interesting, too, to think about of her, like, finding this other child of Poseidon and being like, I'm going to take you in, too.
Yeah. So the narration that we get here, as we shift back into the Jackson household, getting ready for school, is Mom was the only other person who could see his true form. She sees a lot, actually. Sometimes I wonder if she could see what was about to happen. May Castellan. May Castellan Sally parallels. I'm such a fan of you.
Well, I can't remember if this was just from our interview with Daphne or if this also came up in the show itself, but she referred to May as a seer.
Yeah.
And the way she pronounced it was like seer, like one who sees.
Mm-hmm.
But the word seer also means one who sees the future. And I think that connection with the May Castellan of it all makes a lot of sense of, like, maybe your ability to see through the mist goes beyond just being able to see what is and isn't a monster.
Yeah. I was thinking a lot about this when they started talking about their dreams, because, like, Percy, we obviously saw his dream. We know that it was extremely true to life. Probably exactly what happened to Grover. Sally's dream is a golden drachma spinning in a void, on one side a trident, on the other a scythe. And we'll get into their analysis of what that dream means. But, like, I loved this difference between what the demigod dreams look like and what a seer's dreams look like. Like, that demigods' dreams are also looking into the future, but it's much more concrete, what they're seeing. And then when you're a mortal who can see through the mist, you can also see that future, but, like, it's through layers of, like, dream logic and metaphors. Yeah, so Sally tells Percy this dream. Percy says, Kronos, in response to the scythe, obviously. What do you think it means? Sally says, maybe the two things that feel so opposite are somehow. And Percy finishes that sentence with two sides of the same coin.
That's not how I would have analyzed that, knowing what we know.
Well, it's also not how Sally analyzes it either, which I also liked. I loved that they found different meanings in it immediately, because it asks, I feel, the audience to try and find their own meaning in it instead of immediately taking whatever meaning they decide it has, which, like, since we're talking about two sides of the same coin, and that's, like, a big thing that we talked about when we read The Sea of Monsters, that was, like, one of the major themes that we talked about. There are so many doubles, mirrors, foils in this book. Like, that feels like
there's a lot of mirrors, literally, in this episode.
In this episode, yeah. But there's Percy and Tyson, Percy, Tyson and Polyphemus, Percy and Luke, obviously, Percy and Thalia, Percy and Clarice, we talked about. I think ones we might think more about this season, Grover and Pan as two lost nature spirits that we're looking for. Grover and Percy. It's just, like, the amount of people on parallel journeys, the amount of people we need to think of in connection to the other to understand them. I was so glad that Sally and Percy decided to give this to me up front. Because it is such a, like, massive part of the Sea of Monsters to, like, have characters see themselves in another person, especially ones who they kind of wish they couldn't see themselves in. And, like, that's also just a major part of the series, I would say, but, like, especially the Sea of Monsters. But the lesson that Sally tries to make out of the dream is basically that Percy needs to reconsider how he thinks of Tyson. That two things that feel so opposite are somehow... She never actually gets to finish that sentence, but... But she finishes the scene off by having Tyson repeat her words back to her, saying, being a real hero means standing up for others.
What's interesting to me is, when she first said the dream, I thought they were going to go in a very different direction. Because in my head, seeing a, like, trident on one side, a scythe on the other, it's a spinning coin. My brain goes, well, what side is the coin going to land on?
Yeah.
I would have interpreted it as, like, is Percy going to change loyalty? Like, where is Percy going to land? Towards the gods or towards Kronos? Is one possible interpretation.
Yeah.
That I could have seen them going with. I also have a fourth interpretation, but that only came to me at the end, so I'll talk about it when we get to it. But
at the end of the episode or during the credits?
The end of the episode.
Okay. Because
the credits.
The credits? You didn't see the coin in the credits?
Honestly, I spent so long being like, is that a Hydra or Scylla? That
So, Percy and Tyson head to school. I really thought they were going to make it. I really thought they were going to make it to school. As they're walking, they start talking about camp. And so while Tyson's talking about it, Percy refers to Tyson as a monster and then apologizes for calling him a monster. Tyson's like, well, you have other friends that are monsters. Like, that's cool. Percy's like, excuse me, like who? And Tyson says, like, Grover. And Percy starts trying to explain the difference to Tyson by saying, like, oh, well, Grover's sort of, like, more of a nature spirit. And, like, he tries to logic the way that the barrier works, basically. And then Tyson says, well, my mom's a naiad. Does that count? And it's like, Tyson's just breaking all of the rules the entire time, questioning, like, how it works without actually meaning to question how any of it works. Like, it brings up that, like, this is a family story. We're all family. We're all connected.
I really like how they're writing Tyson, too, because I think they're writing him with, like, intelligence, but, like, also an extremely childlike naivete, which I think is sort of how he's described. And it's, like, this is the exact thing where it's, like, as soon as you try to explain something to your kid, that's when you realize how little you know about it and how little certain things make sense. Or just like, but there's this other thing that completely contradicts what you just said.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, correct. Don't know how to answer that beyond, I said so, though, so.
It felt connected to that conversation we had last season about, like, there's the physical difference between monsters and non-monsters that keeps them from entering camp or keeps them or like makes them turn to dust when they die. But there are so many like questions around what that difference could possibly be, because if you're the child of a naiad and a god, like why would that make any kind of difference when there are naiads and gods running around this place? I just liked that. I liked this very short conversation that they have before Annabeth appears. Stepping out of the Grey Sisters' cab, which we theorized, and I cut it out of whatever episode we theorized about it in, because we talked about it so briefly that I was like, eh. But we were like, maybe Annabeth gets out of the cab and then moved on. But yeah, the cab pulls up. They don't make it to school. And Annabeth jumps out. She pulls the invisibility cap off.
I'm obsessed with Tyson picking Percy up.
I know.
And just them being like that. It's just like, I love it. It's so cute.
So we have this moment from the trailer where she says that she's also had a dream, not about Grover, but about camp. And as they get into the taxi, she starts explaining her dream, which is that everything was on fire, the cabins, the arena. And we'll get more hints of her dream throughout this scene, but it reminded me of this vision from the Stolen Chariot, which, if you haven't read the Demigod Files, it's a short story where Percy and Clarice have to work together to find this chariot that's been stolen by her godly brothers. And when Percy meets the eye of Phobos, one of the brothers, he has this vision. It says, "Suddenly I was in a different place. I was at Camp Half-Blood, my favorite place in the world, and it was in flames. The woods were on fire, the cabins were smoking, the dining pavilion's Greek columns had crumbled, and the big house was a smoldering ruin. My friends were on their knees pleading with me, Annabeth, Grover, all of the other campers. Save us, Percy, they wailed. Make the choice. I stood paralyzed. This was the moment I had always dreaded, the prophecy that was supposed to come about when I was 16. I would make a choice that would save or destroy Mount Olympus. Now the moment was here, and I had no idea what to do. The camp was burning. My friends looked at me, begging for help. My heart pounded. I couldn't move. What if I did the wrong thing?" And considering there are other details that it seems like Annabeth was dreaming about, I think that Annabeth's dream might have more in common with this vision than we realize or that she's letting on, based on the details that the Grey sisters bring up, which we don't know if those are like all part of the same dream or if she talked about multiple dreams with them or they know of multiple dreams. But the other details that they bring up are, so this is your boyfriend, huh? No wonder you dream about him. So Percy was a part of this somehow. Mm-hmm. And then later on, when Grover comes up, is Grover the other boyfriend? And when Percy says, "There's another boyfriend," which was really funny to me, they say, "the tall one in her dreams," which I feel like we can assume is Luke.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down too. Like, if it were just Grover, she would have been like, "No, he's also not my boyfriend." But she kind of changes the subject.
She's kind of like,
so.
"Ooh, let's not talk about that one." So, if this is all part of the same dream, Percy and Luke are a part of this moment where everything's on fire.
You must decide, Annabeth? Question mark?
So Annabeth tells Percy that she called Chiron's office and a stranger picked up and she shows a really good drawing. Like, apparently we're all artists now. She shows a really good drawing of Tantalus. She's trying to connect that to what she saw in her dream. And the Grey sisters turn around and say, "It's all connected, child. Your satyr friend is in a dark, dark place, far from anything he's ever known." I think my favorite part of the Grey sisters moment is Percy going to throw the eye out the window and Annabeth immediately getting what he wanted to do with it and, like, opening the window for him.
There's no thought, consideration, communication. There's not even a look. They're both just like...
Yeah. It's one of those moments, considering they're sort of, like, on edge with each other for this entire episode, one of those moments where, like, they still have that easy connection, easy ability to read each other.
Yeah, like instantly backing each other up. Mm-hmm. I also want to flag that this Diana Ross song, if I remember correctly, is specifically about, like, a person that you're trying to break up with, but they keep coming back into your life and they won't let you go, basically. Mm. Which, maybe I wonder if there's the Luke connection, too, because that's kind of who we're talking about when the song starts.
Mm. Or it just picks up on, like, what you're asking of them and starts playing music related to it. So, we arrive at camp, the backside of camp. They kind of just leave them on the side of the road. And we get this conversation between Annabeth and Percy that I really liked. They've been sending each other letters. Percy says, "My favorite line in the episode." "Can we talk about something else? I want to hear what you thought about Space Mountain." And I was like, he's so me. But he follows that with, like, and school. And so it sounds like whatever she's writing in her letters isn't actually, like, descriptions of, maybe it's telling him the things that she's been up to, but not actually talking about the things that she's been up to.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're also both starting off on the back foot a bit with each other, like, both accusing each other of leaving things out. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like in the book, the Tyson is sort of the thing that is between them, but we're getting a little bit more. Like, they're both already feeling disconnected from each other.
Yeah.
Besides that.
So, interrupting their conversation is a giant fireball thrown by the Lastrygonians that chase them to camp. The way that the border works, because we haven't seen the border working yet in the show, I feel like I can see that there's a girl in there. Like, the way that it reacts to things, like it feels like it's living. And I don't really know how to explain it. I think the reason that I felt that way was that it sort of made a mistake. Like it's not 100% powered by magic because it lets the last Dragonian in when only Tyson was let in. Like, to be able to make that kind of mistake.
The way Annabeth was using the knife, too, it seemed almost physical. Like, she was, like, physically lifting it.
It's basically, like, instead of it just sort of magically allowing whoever's name you said through, it's giving you the power to lift up the border. And I was like, of course Thalia is going to give her permission to do whatever she wants. It's such a cool design for the border. I love them using the lightning for the border. I also love that, like, I love how set on protecting Tyson Percy is, despite all of his, like, weird, complicated feelings around him, that, like, he refuses to go through the border even though Annabeth's yelling at him, because he's going to go stand in front of Tyson and make sure that Tyson's safe from whatever's chasing them. And that Annabeth sees that and is like, oh, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to get Percy to walk through this with me. I need to open it, which the fact that she knew how to open it, question in the book and also question in the show now, that she knows how to like give someone permission to enter and refused to do it until right now. Refused to even acknowledge that was a possibility until right now.
So we think we're about to get a bit more fight scene, but then a spear immediately enters the last Dragonian that got let in. And I just yelled, Clarice! when I saw that.
Yeah, it's Clarice, but it's also the border patrol that we didn't think was going to make it into the show.
No. Clarice she is a general. She is leading this border patrol. They are very organized. They fire on the remaining last Dragonians who did not get let in. And we really get to see, I feel like we're like really seeing Clarice in her element in these scenes. Like, she's so deferential to her commanding officer, which we'll get to, but also very like short to the point. But she's also very antagonistic towards Percy in a way that feels right.
Yeah, it's in the spirit of her first appearance in this book. I think the main difference in this scene to me is that Clarice comes across as a leader more. Because in this moment in Sea of Monsters, we said that she plays a role that's sort of surprising to us as the audience because she's on our side and we're fighting alongside her for the first time. And so, like, it's immediately putting her sort of on the hero side instead of, like, one of our antagonists. But as soon as Percy shows up, things start going wrong. She says that she had it under control. But we, as the audience, because we're in Percy's perspective, are like, no, you didn't. Like, it was actually essential that we all stepped in just now. Meanwhile, in this scene, she's the only thing that saves them. And she comes in with, like, this very structured team that she has, like, a complete handle on, you know? Like, she is their leader. They're all listening to her. She just has this authority that she walks in with that I don't think she has in the Sea of Monsters.
She says a few interesting things here. She says non-combatant campers should be in their cabins, which is a new rule. I do enjoy the shade she throws at Percy and Annabeth, being like, "You're not fighters. You're a civilian, basically." Yeah. Subtle shade.
When Percy's like, "Oh, you fixed your spear,"
she's like, "Don't." So, Clarice and the campers, it seems, go off to continue fighting the last Dragonians. And I was trying to figure out if this border patrol was new or not, because we never hear about it in season 1.
Yeah, my assumption was that it was something that Tantalus put together, because it seems like he's just got a lot more rules that he's inflicting on the camp. Like the fact that he's using some of the campers as guards.
I mean, he does... We're skipping ahead of a very important scene, but he does refer to himself as a king.
Yeah.
Later. And he seems to take that, like, that's still his title. So it is giving a little, like, this is my kingdom. I am in charge.
Yeah.
I have my army. But let's not skip this scene. So Clarice goes off to keep fighting, and Percy and Annabeth go pick up Tyson, who had been kind of thrown by the last Dragonian. And they realize that what's probably going on is the last Dragonians are being sent as a distraction for something else. Annabeth mentions that she thinks they're testing the border, and Percy connects it to the tree, and they both immediately figure out that that might be a point of attack. So they run to Thalia's tree. I like that we're seeing more of, like, a strategic Annabeth in this moment.
Yeah.
Like, she's thinking through, like, okay, hold on. They're attacking. What's the strategy?
Yeah.
And she kind of figures it out. And then they go.
The music in this moment as they approach the tree, and it shows Luke standing next to it. So good.
I also thought it was interesting that we don't see him. We only see him taking the sword out of the tree. We don't see him. I wanted to see him right before he does it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a moment for him, but we do know at least some of what was going on in his head before he did it. Thanks to our conversation with Charlie at San Diego Comic-Con, as this thing that's left of her that's, like, being forced to protect this camp that she didn't believe in, that, like, represents all of these things that she was fighting against.
But we see Luke, it's like the sword first, and then it pans up his arm, and then we see him taking the sword out and, like, flicking some poison on the ground, and their faces are doing some interesting things, all of them, in this moment. Because Annabeth almost, like, freezes a little bit. She's like, she doesn't know what to do. I feel like I would have expected Luke to not want her to see this the same way he did in the confrontation with Percy at the end of season 1. But I feel like Luke kind of sees the three of them catch him, and he's just like, well, I guess this is happening. It was more, like, resigned of, like, well, okay.
I think I saw the resignation, but I also did see a little bit of that, like, this wasn't what was supposed to happen here. I don't think he was thinking he was going to be seen at all. I think he thought he was going to get away with this. Like, you see him almost, like, stumble for a moment and recalculate, and then almost, like, put the mask back on. You know, he resigns to this happening and, like, puts the confidence on that he wears for the rest of the Sea of Monsters. I honestly feel like you don't even see him put the mask back on until Percy yells at him. Like, he kind of registers seeing them there, tries to straighten up. You know, you see him blinking, like, as if he's been in his own head about what he just did and wasn't expecting to see anyone. And then he just turns. He doesn't say anything to them. He just turns away, tries to walk away without saying a word. And it's only when Percy yells out to him with that smile on his face, that angry smile that he gets. I think this is the first time that we've seen that, like, crazed smile that Percy will get sometimes in the books. But that's when Luke puts some of that confidence back on. But yeah, so he turns around, climbs on Blackjack, and as he tries to leave, Percy says, "Luke, you running again?" Which is, considering our many conversations about Luke at the end of The Lightning Thief, and his tendency to run. Because we talked a lot about, like, Luke and how often he will run away from things when they don't quite go as he thought they would, that he walks into situations thinking that they're going to go one way, and then when they don't, his reaction is to just run away, and that's just sort of what he's done his entire life. And so to have Luke start leaving and for Percy to call him out, even though he's not doing exactly what we're talking about, he's just literally leaving. But I don't know, just to have Percy be like the forever runaway, running away again, I'm sure. Like, it's so good. But Luke doesn't react to it. He just says, "I'll see you out there," which we talked about in our trailer reaction. But you can tell that he is planning something, obviously, but that he, like, almost doesn't care that they know he's planning something. Like, it's almost like an invitation to, like, okay, come follow me then.
Yeah, it makes me wonder when he thinks they're gonna next cross paths.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining them just, like, it's like, "I'll see you out there," thinking, like, much later, that he just shows up on his boat. He's like, "Yeah, so your dad dropped me off."
So, right, Luke flies off on Blackjack. We realize that Luke poisoned Thalia with elder python poison.
Which had me like, triumvirate holdings.
I had the same thought, and then I checked the book, and it's also in the book. And also, Python wouldn't have, like, woken up yet. chronologically. Yeah. And I
it's
was
fine.
like,
Whatever. It's all...
I was like, but what if in the show timeline, Python's already away?
But that wouldn't make sense because they're getting prophecies anyway. I really like, I feel like in this episode, we see so much of Annabeth's emotions. Like, the way specifically she interacts with Thalia's tree brings out something in her that I want to dig into, but maybe in the next scene. But Percy sort of explains how Thalia got made into a tree by Zeus. And he does say, interestingly to me, he didn't save her, but he did change her into something that could save others.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's always framed as, like, he couldn't save her, or he saved her by turning her into a tree.
And then the other thing is they're talking about Luke. And I really loved Walker's line delivery when Percy's talking to Annabeth and he says, because he's not Luke anymore.
I was listening to the way that Percy was explaining this, and I was like, oh, this is the way that you're sort of rationalizing this for yourself. Because he also says he's not Luke anymore. And then he sort of trails off for a moment and says lost, which is why I flagged lost earlier in this conversation. And he goes on to say he serves Kronos now. That's all he's about. Like, it's just an interesting, like, illustration of the way that, because we've talked about how black and white Percy's thinking is in the books. So it's that kind of way that Percy sees the world in these early books, I think, popping up, which I don't think we have had as much because Sally is slightly different in the show. I feel like Percy is slightly different, but it seems like this is something where that kind of thinking is going to play a role.
Then, as they're talking, they get interrupted by Clarice marching in with a bunch of campers and Tantalus.
I'm obsessed with his satyr assistant.
With his vest. Was he in season 1?
No.
Oh.
I don't even have anything to say. I think he's credited as satyr assistant, too. I don't think he even has a name. But I love him. And I do really like this version of Tantalus, like we mentioned. That he's, like, so trying to turn this into, like... He's trying to impose, like, all of these laws on the camp.
Tantalus is interesting, actually, because, like, looking into him, I was familiar with sort of one version of his myth, and I think it's pretty similar to the one he tells in the book, The Sea of Monsters, where basically he's a king of Anatolia, he mentions. So Anatolia, for those who don't know, is modern-day Turkey, which is notoriously a very wealthy part of the ancient world because they can grow a lot of food there. And he's this great king, so great, the gods actually invite him to feast at Mount Olympus. And then later he offers them to come down to return the favor, but he doesn't know what to feed them and ends up feeding them his son, which the gods do not like. And they find out about this and they spit out the food, revive the son who's named Pelops, and help Pelops escape to mainland Greece, where the big piece of mainland Greece is called the Peloponnese, after Pelops. But for doing that and trying to trick the gods, he's punished by his famous punishment in the underworld, which is he can't eat or drink despite it all being in reach. He's also, I think, a son of Zeus, ? In some versions. Another thing that's interesting with him is that apparently there's other versions where he didn't feed them his kids. There's other versions where he, like, tried to steal from the gods, like some kind of immortal secret or, like, nectar and ambrosia or information, and that's why they punish him. For me, I think, the version he tells in the book is the first one I mentioned, and also I find that particular version really interesting considering we're about to go into an Odyssey retelling, because his great crime in that story is essentially a hospitality thing, like a guest rights violation. I don't know. It's interesting to me, too, like, thinking about, like, why he, of all people, is put in charge.
Yeah, especially because we know that Zeus put him in charge.
Yeah. So I wonder if maybe they're going with the idea that he's also a son of Zeus. So it's like, well, let me just pluck my son, who was this great king, out of the underworld and
forgetting why he punished him.
Yeah.
Let me put him in a camp full of children.
We also see Clarice being very different to him, too.
Mm-hmm.
And Clarice is very excited to kill Tyson.
Yeah.
She really wants to. She's so ready. She's
Her
like,
smile
okay,
when
cool.
he says to kill him. I think she's just excited to, like, have that attention on her. Especially, like, in front of Percy, when she feels like Percy stole it from her somehow last season.
And Annabeth kind of has to, like, very overtly declare that she was the one that let Tyson in.
Mm-hmm.
There's still this argument that ensues. And then finally, we get what we thought would for sure be, like, the furthest possible ending of this episode when we were predicting it, which is Tyson being claimed. And the shot here of that trident, like, completely bifurcating Thalia's tree, like, it's just, like, imposed over it.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the history here.
Yeah, to, like, stand in front of Thalia's tree where, like, that's what her dad did to save her. It's almost like he's, like, making a statement. To have a demigod die on that hill chased by monsters, thanks in part to Cyclops, and then having one standing there saved from demigods by their godly parent, and, like, actually saved. I'm going to be keeping my eye on how we're talking about Zeus this season, mostly for Thalia reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, partially for just, like, Zeus, king of the gods reasons, but, like, especially knowing where we're going with Thalia and, like, how we're setting her up, knowing that she's the daughter of Zeus. Yeah.
So let me transition to the big house.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. D. I wrote down, he seems to care a bit more about camp than he's letting on. And there's a way he's interacting with Tantalus where you're kind of getting this vibe of, like, you're a fun toy for now, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
Is what I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he treats him, especially because we see him get treated with such deference in the prior scene, and then to have Mr. D, like, overtly taunting him with popcorn.
The popcorn was so funny to me, having read The Sun and the Star. I was like, oh my gosh, a cameo. It's kind of how I felt.
I can't remember if this made it into anything or not, but I kind of predicted that they would, like, show up to, like, Mr. D and Tantalus and be like, camp's in danger. And they'd be like, no, they're not the chariot races.
Mm-hmm.
That is sort of what happens. And we get shown this gorgeous diorama of the new chariot racing track. Tantalus sort of makes the argument like, well, we don't need to postpone it because I think this is just a nothing attack that's just meant to, like, lower camp morale. But let's boost camp morale by having the chariot races.
Mm-hmm.
And that line specifically stuck out to me because I'm, like, watching Mr. D eating popcorn and watching them stare at this chariot track being like, this will boost morale. And to me, you can't get a more overt reference to this really famous Roman expression called panem et circenses, which you might be familiar with because in the Hunger Games, panem is called that. It's called panem after this expression, which means bread in circuses. Circus is referring to chariot racing because you go around the track. It's basically an expression that was used in the Roman Empire for basically saying, like, well, the masses don't know that things are going poorly, like, on the grand geopolitical scale, because we're distracting them with free bread and chariot racing.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically all about, like, using entertainment and food to distract from people getting angry about the real issues in your society, which in the Hunger Games, the circenses is the games. Here, it's a bit more literal.
Yeah.
It's like, let's distract everyone from the problems at camp by having chariot races. Can't get more Roman than that.
So
Percy and Tyson get punished by being confined to their cabin.
And so they're escorted back, or Percy is escorted back. Tyson's already been escorted back. So Percy's escorted back to his cabin.
He passes by a bunch of campers, including Clarice.
And they basically do, like, the loser symbol on their foreheads, but they make an eye with their hand, which is genius. He heads back to his cabin where Tyson already is. And
First of all, I was like, where did he get a shirt? Who gave him a shirt?
He went to orientation, we can assume. I was already in love with Daniel's interpretation of Tyson, but this scene was like what really made it for me. He nails that line between like sort of bumbling giant, childish, older brother, younger brother. And there's so much optimism and like innocence in everything that he does. The way that he delivers his lines, his mannerisms. It's like despite everything that he's gone through, he still imagines that other people are going to approach every situation with the same like brightness and kindness and intentions that he does. And it's also just a very layered performance. Like you can see the way his face drops after Percy says, "We're not bros." Like the rejection isn't unfamiliar, but it's still sharp. He's so excited to see Percy, but Percy is sort of pushing him away. He's still working through all of this. He's still trying to understand what all of this means. Tyson says, "It means I'm not alone." I think that Tyson also kind of has like black and white thinking, but he does it in like a always positive way. It is always like he's looking at the bright side of whatever it is. He's finding something good in all of it. And so he hears Percy wondering what it means and is like, oh, well, first thought, it means that I'm not alone. And Percy gives him this look that's sort of like I feel like I can read 15 different things in it. Because we know that Percy's sort of thinking like, but we're not the same. Like there's a part of him that's probably like, it's true, I am his brother, he's not alone, but also like he kind of is alone here. And like what am I supposed to do about that? But before he can say anything, Annabeth knocks on the door. And we get one of my favorite Percy and Annabeth scenes in this episode, where she asks him if they can talk, then sort of clocks that Tyson is in there and says, actually, do you want to walk? And Percy obviously wants to talk to Annabeth, but he, like, after what Tyson just said, he's sort of like, I feel like if Tyson hadn't said that, he probably would have gone on a walk. But I feel like Tyson saying that made him almost wake up to a little bit of how he's been thinking about Tyson and how Tyson might be feeling about that. And so he asks Annabeth to come inside, and she says no. She says that she was actually just going to go check on Thalia's tree and see if anyone knew anything, which is a lie. It just reads like a lie. She does go to Thalia's tree after this, but like that's not what she was planning on doing. And I do want to dig further into what's going on in her head right now, but she basically seems to close herself back off, turn around, start to leave, and then think to turn back around and basically tell Percy one of the things that's been bothering her, which is that if Percy had a drachma this whole time, he could have called her.
I was like, why is she bringing this up now? I think she's bringing it up because to her, like, Percy is choosing Tyson over her in this moment. And so she is feeling like he is creating distance between them. So she's sort of like, wait, you also said you couldn't connect with me for this reason. And I think she's trying to figure that out. And also, like, bring up another time he's hurt her similarly in her interpretation.
Yeah.
But then it kind of backfires on her. Because now he's thinking, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're starting off in such an interesting place.
Everyone is on edge. Like, Percy walks into this room and is like, did you know? Like, immediately going after Tyson, like, did you know about this? And then the two of them are fighting, and I was like, everyone calm down. No one is that suspicious right now. But I felt bad for her in this scene because I was like, she is generally a little bit more closed off. And now she is dealing with a lot, considering what she just saw happen to Thalia's tree. And she's probably trying to reach out, trying to open up a little more. She knows that, like, she can't handle this on her own. She knows that, like, on their quest, Percy helped her with a lot of that, and she wants to reach out again. But she's felt far away from him, and now that he's here, she's trying to reach out, but he still feels far away. And she probably is like, who do I have then? Because, like, I was excited to see you again, because I thought things might change. or like thought I'd have someone on my side. But she's also caught in being someone who's been pretty closed off all this time, who didn't tell Percy all that much over her letters, and like doesn't exactly know how to go about this.
I think it's this and then like the contrast you see with her the next time we see her that really, I think, drives that home for me.
Yeah. Especially what she says to Thalia's tree. I was like, So
Annabeth leaves, Percy and Tyson go to sleep, and Tyson says, she's right. Sleep's good. It means you're safe. And we get him talking about the Sphinx on 77th Street. And I just wrote down, Daniel, your delivery. We don't see his face at all for this whole section. We just see his back, and his shirt's like written up, and we see a bunch of scars on his back, which are in the book. That's a reference, but it's like Percy's referencing the fact that he's seen them in his inner monologue when we start the book, versus like, it's kind of unclear if Percy's ever seen these scars before, but he does ask Tyson if monsters attacked him, which to me tells me that he's never asked him that before.
Yeah.
So I think Percy's also learning a little bit more about where Tyson came from in this moment.
And it's also him seeing like his own experience in Tyson's experience. Because he's probably thinking, why would a monster attack another monster? But if he's looking at him and he's seeing like another son of Poseidon who was followed by monsters.
Yeah.
Future Phoebe Part 2. We also got to ask Rick about getting to write Tyson again during the press junket. So here's a clip from that.
But going back to episode 1 a bit, you are credited as the co-writer. So what was it like returning to Tyson again?
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of fun, and it was also a challenge because he's such an important character, but we knew that it was going to be really difficult for him to be presented in a way that made sense and sort of refreshed so that he felt like what we wanted him to feel like, sort of in some ways a big brother, but in some ways a little brother, because he needs a lot of nurturing, he needs support, he's had a tough childhood, he's been scarred and wounded emotionally, and so he is shy because of that and reserved. But at the same time, he's so loving and so supportive and sweet that in spite of all his power, he's a really sympathetic character. And so, yes, it was a challenge, but a really welcome challenge to go back and kind of refresh that character for 2025.
Yeah. I really enjoyed his, especially the monologue about the Sphinx on 77th Street.
Yeah.
Every time Daniel opens his mouth, my heart breaks.
I know, he's really good.
So Daniel was breaking my heart, and now Leo's about to.
So Annabeth goes out to Thalia's tree, and she says to her, "Can you still hear me? Just asking, because even before Luke left, you were the only one I could really talk to."
I feel like there's not this like layer of like holding herself together that she has with everyone else in this scene. And I feel we see a little bit of that earlier as well when she's looking at the tree for the first time. Like the way she's reacting to...
Yeah, I wondered if Thalia has always played that role, like even when she was still around, if she played that role for Annabeth, or if the tree has become that for her, because the only timestamp we have is before Luke left, which was very recent. It made sense to me because Luke is someone who she looks up to, and so it makes sense that there would be like Luke over here, and then like Thalia, who I tell my problems, you know?
I don't know, you might be onto something, because in season 1, when she's talking about Thalia, the characterization she gives is of someone who is pretty standoffish.
Yeah, which was why I was like, I wonder if this is how it's always been, or if this wasn't the role that Thalia played for her as a child.
Yeah, which that's really interesting to me. You also talked about this paralleling the Pan scene.
Yes, because it ends with Annabeth saying, "I'm going to fix this, just tell me how. Please tell me how." There's that, like, reaching out for a sign that Grover did at the beginning of the episode, reaching out to nature. and actually sort of receiving an answer for Annabeth in the form of Percy at the end of this episode. But it almost turns Thalia into this supernatural force this episode, because we actually see her at work creating the barrier. She's something that we can sort of pray to and might respond.
I really like that.
Yeah, it was just an interesting parallel to have the episode start and end with like a prayer to nature.
And it's also interesting too, because I wonder how much of this is like also the fact that like maybe she would have prayed to Athena if we were season 1 Annabeth. But now that she's kind of lost a bit of that faith and been betrayed by Athena in episode 4, the St. Louis Arch.
Yeah.
But now, like, more and more she's turning to Thalia instead. Oh, and she brings a lantern out.
She does bring a lantern.
It doesn't feel as significant.
It doesn't.
As,
but like,
season 1, episode 8. But I'm like, come on, Luke.
In a way, Luke is here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like bringing him into the scene a little. Oh man! And then Percy's dreaming.
Yeah, I love the way that this dream starts with it looking almost like an eye.
There's so much too when we see the fleece through what looks like the roof of the cave. It's also like one eye. Like I feel like there's a lot of circles. There's a lot of circles and eyes.
But we see the start of Percy's dream with Grover being dragged up onto the beach, and then we get the first of our empathy link dreams. And this is a scene that we got to watch them film over the course of 2 days. To see it actually finished on my screen, having seen all of the work that goes into putting it together, too.
Yeah.
Very full circle.
I don't know, just being surrounded by everything from this book coming to life was wild.
Yeah. Did you also, when they first started walking through camp, were you like, I've been there?
I know. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. We took so many pictures.
We did like an entire photo shoot in that place. It's such a magical place.
Literally, like, it looks the same in real life.
Hang on. We should probably say 2 other podcasts went with us.
We went with Erica and Carter from Seaweed Rain and Mike from the Newest Olympian.
Yeah. But the way that I have been thinking of it is that, like, day 1 was we did a lot of, like, department visits and got to watch a lot of filming happening. And so it was sort of like getting to learn how a massive television set works, getting to understand like the ins and outs of all of these different creative departments. We went into the costume department, the stunts. We got to do some stunts. You'll probably see clips from us attempting to swing a sword. Watched them film some of both episode 1 and episode 5. And also got to visit some of the sets of some other scenes that we'll see. One in particular that was very fun. And then day 2 was like embrace your inner child day, because we spent the first half of the day at Camp Half-Blood and then came back to the sound stages to a room filled with props for us to just sort of play with. An entire room of every prop you could think of that you have ever wanted to play with from Percy Jackson. And like they kept saying that like, okay, and then we're gonna go watch some other stuff being filmed. We never made it there. We probably barely made it to watch them film this scene that we're talking about. And so like to have spent the whole day doing that and then go and watch Walker and Arian film this scene was just like that. I think that was part of why it was like such an emotional experience to watch, was because it was like I was playing at Camp Half-Blood all day. I was playing Percy Jackson all day, and then I got to watch Percy Jackson, and I was like, oh my god, I'm watching Percy Jackson come to life on my screen. That's crazy.
I just remember like, you know, I'm like, okay, be cool. You're a professional. And then I think we hit a point at day 2 where like literally all of us, we were just children.
Right. Like day 1, I'm trying to keep it together. Day 2, I'm literally on the floor. Yeah, I want to give a huge, huge shout out to Daphne, who was there for a lot of what we did.
Yeah.
Dan was also the one who showed us the cave set, who came over and said, do you guys want to see the cave set, and led us over there to watch the first part of this scene being filmed. Obviously, Charlie and Dior, two of our other tour guides.
Yes. Kira
and Aaron, who were our actual tour guides.
and Annie, our driver.
And obviously everyone else were like making us feel so welcome and like we belonged there. Like it'd be so easy to walk in there and feel like we're afraid to say anything, to step on toes. We kind of want to keep to ourselves, but it was like everyone was so happy to just let us come in and be kids. Genuinely one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Even like now, like my face hurts from how hard I'm smiling, like remembering it.
Yeah.
And that was something that like I think Mike said it first, but like I felt it where we were all just like, my face hurts.
Yeah.
Like, I've been smiling too much. Like I just had a stupid smile on my face the whole time.
There's this hilarious photo of me that I will probably post if I can. I asked Dior to pose with me at one point in the props room with like spears and shields and like, you know, as if we were fighting. And I'm like, I'm going to look intense, like we're fighting. But I was just like cheesing too hard. Didn't get one successful like shot of me looking intimidating. We did record an episode on day 2 when we got back to our hotel room where we just sort of recapped our entire experience that we will be putting up on Patreon probably after the last episode comes out, because we probably talked about stuff that we can't talk about until the last episode comes out. But that's going to be going up on Patreon. So if you're interested in hearing it, that's where you'll be able to find it eventually. But we will be sharing some of these stories here also, obviously. Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about this scene. I think the first thing that we watched them film was the mirror moment, which is the beginning of this scene. The moment where Percy sees Grover. I'm obsessed with mirrors this season.
Yeah.
Like, already.
Especially at the end when they break it, I'm like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm. The whole episode starting with Percy looking in the mirror, and he's kind of like squinting at himself. Like, he's kind of, he's, you know, checking his appearance the way that people do when they look in the mirror. And then getting to this cave that Grover says the mirrors aren't there in real life. It's specifically a part of, like, it seems maybe empathy link dreams, or a part of how the empathy link works. And then knowing that we have at least one mirror to come. It's just such a cool, like, literal interpretation of that theme that we talked about earlier. To have them looking at each other in the mirror rather than themselves.
They discover they have the empathy link. And maybe this isn't big news to us because we've known about this for months at this point.
Right. Of course, I forgot.
But the fact that the empathy link was not something Grover made on purpose.
Yes. It is instead now something that forms between a satyr and a demigod when they are best friends, as Percy puts it. When we watched them film this scene, I couldn't hear Percy's line, and so I thought they just sort of like, I thought Grover just sort of drifted off, like his sentence drifted off, and I finished it in my head with like, soulmates? Like
Grover is telling Percy that he's been basically kidnapped. He mentions it's all part of a system with the sea monster, with like Polyphemus and getting him to the cave, like getting lured in as bait. So interesting. Can't wait to find out more about this, because I'm like, how is the sea monster involved? But like the sea monster is clearly involved, so
yeah, the idea of like him having traps set, like I was like, is this the same island? Because if so, Luke's army got so close. Is it just around the Sea of Monsters he has these traps set? Does he leave to go set these traps? Like,
why are the pipes part of the trap? Because it's a weapon?
I assumed that the pipes and the skeleton weren't necessarily a part of the trap. I figured that was just someone who got caught. But I had so many questions about that guy. I was like, why didn't you make it to the cave?
Yeah. There's also, in my head, he did, but then Polyphemus, like, set it back up.
I guess you might see a dead satyr and think I'm on the right track, but you might also see a dead satyr and think I'm on a very wrong track.
But Grover basically explains that Luke's army is looking for the fleece, and he explains what the fleece is to Percy. So we're seeing, again, a little bit more of like strategic Grover. Love that for him. And he gives Percy the same coordinates that the Grey Sisters have given him. And Percy wakes up by falling out of bed in the exact same way again, which I laughed at. I love that as like a comic beat. He's looking at this map in the cabin, and he says, Grover and a monster's treasure, two sides of the same coin. And then he goes on to be like, it was the same place. That's where we have to go. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting to me, because I feel like it changed the way I was thinking about the expression, where to me, when I was thinking about two sides of the same coin, I'm thinking about essentially two mirrors of each other, like two foils of each other, like Percy and Tyson. Yeah. The way Percy puts it here, it led me to my fourth interpretation of Sally's dream, which may be just me going off the deep end here, but I'm going to say
we love to go off the deep end.
But part of me was like, I wonder if what Sally actually saw was like the Great Prophecy. And specifically this thing of like, there's a trident on one side and a scythe on the other. And you think in the Great Prophecy, the line about the hero and the half-blood who turns 16 are the same person, but they're actually two different characters.
So it's almost the opposite of everyone's interpretation.
Yeah.
Of
like I wondered if maybe that's what she actually saw. That's my theory. Like, what if that's actually about the Great Prophecy, where it's like, you think these are two different things, but you think this is the same thing, but they're actually two different things. I'm saying this out loud. It makes less sense than it's in my head. But we finish with Percy kind of answering Annabeth's prayer, which is cute. Yeah.
Percy answering Annabeth's prayer in Thalia's place. Prayed to Thalia and got the other one.
The other side of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this moment was just really sweet. Of her seemingly almost falling asleep there. It made me wonder how many times she's fallen asleep there.
Yeah.
And also made me think of like Luke's diary, because everything makes me think of Luke's diary when he's writing and he says that the girls are asleep. And like I always picture them lying next to each other, like 2 feet away. All right, last time I'm going to cut in. During the press junket, there was one question that we made sure to ask all of the members of the cast that you may have seen clips from on our Instagram, but they gave much longer answers than actually ended up in the video. So since we're talking about our new trio for this season, in this episode, here are Walker, Leah, and Daniel's answers. Okay, for all 3 of you, partially inspired by a conversation that John Steinberg had on Daphne Olive's podcast once upon a time. We've talked about the characters in this series as either being sort of like Odysseus, so seeking home, seeking family, seeking comfort, or like Achilles, seeking glory, willing to die to be remembered. Do you see your characters as more of an Odysseus or an Achilles?
I mean, for Tyson, very much Odysseus. Yeah, I don't think there's a bone that's kind of in that, like, Achilles kind of vein of things.
I think they all kind of have, like, a, I don't know, maybe not Tyson, but I think Percy's very Odysseus, but you know, it's interesting because Percy's fatal flaw isn't him, like, wanting glory, it's him wanting to, like, protect his friends, and in doing that, a lot of the time he gets glory, so he kind of just ends up there.
I think she's both, but I would have to say more of Odysseus. Because, well, I'm going to do a quick explanation, but basically with the Achilles and stuff, obviously she wants to, I can't, anyway, in 5, there's something that has to do with, like, just her, you know, wanting that, basically, like, finally getting what she might actually, you know, been looking for. And I feel like that's what has to give into the Achilles part of it. I said 5, right? Episode 5, yes. And then the Odysseus part, she already found it and then she lost it. So I feel like that's why she's still looking for it, basically. And she's definitely not desperate, but I feel like she honestly might at the end start finding it a little bit in Tyson too, because everyone's like, oh, maybe she doesn't like Tyson, but I think generally at the end and stuff, once she realized that this might be a good mix of like people and stuff, because Grover's gone too, you know what I'm saying, and she's not hurt at all, but I think that she is a little bit, she's looking at it like Percy has his person too, because now Grover's the main protector of Percy now. Did I say that right? Yeah, Grover's the main protector of Percy now, and now she doesn't have Thalia, so it's like she's still trying to find that home, and if she can find it through these people right here and stuff, then she will. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love the questions, seriously.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we get the stunning credits sequence, which we do need to break down. But before we do that, do you have a bead for season 2, episode 1 of Percy Jackson?
Thalia's lightning, I think, is mine. The lightning with the dagger.
Yeah. I'm going to say Tyson's compass. Because several things are lost, several things are to be found. Feels right for this one. All right. And then we get this credit sequence.
Stunning.
Beautiful. Starts with a shot of Florida. I don't feel like we need to go through it like shot by shot. You can watch it and pick all of the details out. But the big one I do want to talk about is the constellation. Because it almost feels like it belongs in the season 3 credits.
It's making my hope that we see constellations with Percy and Annabeth on the boat.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, maybe she does get her Hercules constellation.
Is a huntress, though.
Yeah, so it's 2 coins and then 2 circles surrounding
two sides of
the coins. So one of the coins has a trident on it, the other one has a lightning bolt on it. And what appears within the circle that's around each coin, I feel like relates to the character. So like the Percy stuff is all around the trident and the Thalia stuff is all around the lightning bolt. And technically the huntress is inside Thalia's circle. It looks like it's right in the middle, but it's actually inside of her circle, pointing her arrow into Percy's circle. So within Percy's circle, there are like sea monsters, there are ships, there's a hippocampus, there's a snake, which was interesting to me. I don't fully know what's up with that one. There is the like Hercules snake story that Percy also has in his backstory. That was sort of the main connection I could draw, but there's a snake. And surrounding the lightning bolt are the huntress, a spear, another lightning bolt, a centaur with a bow, and some kind of flying creature that I was staring at that I couldn't figure out what it was.
Oh, it's an owl.
There's also a wolf on that side.
That's Jason. I think you got your Jason Easter egg.
I was thinking just that the hunters had wolves, but you know what? I'll take that one. I'll take that. Oh, you know what's a fun detail that I liked was there's a chariot being drawn by 2 Pegasi. And I was like, oh, a sun chariot? Perhaps there is a sun below it.
There's a spilled amphora.
Yes. I forgot about that one.
Oh, there's an Erymanthian boar. This feels like a lot of Titan's Curse references.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it almost feels like this one belongs in the season 3 credits. It's like our little hint at like what's to come.
Is the spilled amphora Luke? Like, there's no Luke here is my thing, though.
Yeah. Maybe he's the snake. Other little details that I wrote down from the credits, I loved, there's like the coffin, there's the guinea pig, there's Circe holding her goblet.
Yeah, the goblet is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I saw what looked like at first glance the Hydra with the Ironborn, but then we got Charybdis, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's actually Scylla.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was.
But we see a lot of hippocampy in a way where I'm like, is rainbow, please. We have not talked about rainbow
That's
at
true.
all.
We haven't talked at all about rainbow. I think I just sort of mentally cut rainbow. I feel like I can't, though. I feel like maybe rainbow is in the show at some point.
Rainbow could be such a, like, Poseidon sending something that they need so desperately moment that, like, could really work.
When they're escaping the island and both Percy and Polyphemus are praying to their father, who's he going to answer? I also love the animation of Charybdis.
Yes, with the teeth.
Mm-hmm. And the way that the music has sort of changed in the credits, too. Like, it's not exactly the same theme as last time. I love them.
They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. Thank you all for listening to Monster Donut. Next time, Season 2, Episode 2. If you have any of your own thoughts or analysis about this season or anything else we've talked about that you want to share with us, we love getting emails from y'all. We are monsterdonutpodcast@gmail.com. We're also eventually going to be doing a wrap-up of the entirety of Season 2, answering any questions and covering any topics that we may have missed as we go episode by episode. So if you have any analysis or questions you want to contribute to that, that's a great place to send them. You can also send them along on social media. We are at PJOPod on all of our social platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky, and also Threads. You can also comment below on the Spotify episode, any predictions you have, any thoughts or feelings.
For the TV show episodes, we also put polls here on Spotify.
Yes. I don't know what they are. Usually they're Phoebe cyberbullying me.
Only once. Only happened once.
Yeah, get in on the conversation. This is going to be a great season. I feel it in my bones. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to share this with y'all and also to share more. Also, if you follow us over on social media, we're going to be posting some cool photos you might want to check out of some behind-the-scenes stuff we got to see. Also, if you're interested in checking out our merch, you can find a link to it in our link tree across all of our social media platforms. You can also find us at monsterdonutpodcast.redbubble.com. Get your Monster Donut t-shirts.
Mm-hmm. It's coming.
It's the season of Monster Donut. Yeah, it's a great way to support the podcast. Also, if you are so inclined, if you are enjoying the show and also want to support us in other ways, we have a Ko-fi and Patreon link as well. Although, if you are either not in a position to or not interested in supporting us monetarily, leaving a comment, rating, review really helps us out, recommending us to a friend. Yeah, and if you are a supporter of us already, thank you so much. We cannot express how much we appreciate y'all. You are the reason we've gotten to have such awesome opportunities and get to do so much more with this podcast than I think either of us ever thought would be possible. So thank you so much.
And so, without further ado, thank you to our patrons. Latino Kaya, Patty BCK, Bethany from Public Works, Sydney Fox, Joke, Reina Avila Ramirez Arellano, Ethan Not Nakamura, Kels, Mason Bowman, Casey Cassidy, Busy Cat, Natalia, Melissa Rounds, Cake Coffee, Sasha, Alana, Pamela Ion, The Kid on Her Own, Grace Junker, Kaylee, Manu Monshin, Calamity, Eddie Burns, Sarah Brown, Colby Redfern, May, Anna, Bad Luck, B, and Vasture. Thank you all for being with us for a very exciting season.
Hop aboard! No, I don't know.
Come sail away!
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence. By supporting families with stable housing. and providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at RealSafetyDC.
Our HBCUs have a legacy that's straight up golden. And McDonald's is proud to help keep it that way. Since 2021, the Golden Arches has connected with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund to provide $1 million in scholarships for students headed to our HBCUs. That kind of cash helps keep bright minds on the yard, dreams within reach, and the future golden. Learn more about McDonald's Black and Positively Golden scholarships at mcdblackscholars.com.